Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tilt Space. This is a new show on the LineMovement YouTube channel. Every single Sunday night, we are going to go live at around 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. The goal is to overlap with the ending of those 4 p.m. Eastern time games and get a combination of a sweat if our teams are doing well, or more likely a true tilt where we come right out of those games, look at our DraftKings balances, and then eventually have to get our deposit king on. And my tilt friends in crime, we got Joe Holka, Mike Leone. Are you guys ready to tilt our asses off this year?
I'm ready to sneak in some sweats, but I'm expecting mostly tilt.
And I did request to have the large photo on me for this stream in a very small box for Mike Leone right here. I think this is something we will definitely keep for all shows. Mike is only getting a couple of pixels of real estate.
I don't like it.
How's that one?
Here?
Well, it's because you didn't get your green screen figured out, and this is putting you in stream timeout is what we're doing.
In the penalty box.
So
we can put people in the penalty box when their selection doesn't do well and tanks our group team.
That is going to be, there's going to be a lot of blame that's going to be assigned because so just to let you guys know, basically the plan for this show is we are going to enter some contests collectively on the same team. We're going to talk through that today, what our overall bankroll is going to be, some of the contests we want to play. We're also going to compete against each other in some of these contests, hop in a same single entry tournament, something like the Spy or Bargain Bin, see how we do that way. And then we also are going to be doing some sports betting as well collectively. So it's going to be this hodgepodge of being on the same team, trying to beat each other in other contests. And again, pulling behind the curtain, we have a general idea of what we want to do, but we have not hammered out any of the logistics. So this stream here is going to help us serve as a way to figure out what contest we are going to enter this week. So I'll toss it to you guys as far as what kind of bankroll size you guys are thinking we're going to work with here and the way we are going to attack this.
First off, I think I better get a word in here before the next time we see Leone on this stream and he's a few Bud Lights deep or many, I would imagine. Can we get a different background for you before the next stream, please? Like this green thing's not going to work, man.
That's I'm visualizing. Green money.
Okay.
It's like my vision board for what's going to happen.
Oh, it's like the secret. Okay. All right. And then I guess then that means Joe is not going to win any money, but lots of NFL paraphernalia.
That could work. I mean, as long as we're winning something, right? I think that, Pete, like you said, you've been nice, I guess, by saying that we're going to figure it out on stream, all of these things. And we're really not as prepared as we should be right now with our actual plan. So, Leone, do you have any idea? Like, are we doing a bankroll? Like, catch me up here. I'm a little bit behind since I was trying to fix your camera all day.
So we're doing a bankroll. I think we're going to start with a bankroll of 15K with the hopes of bringing that, our long-term hopes of bringing that up to 100K, but mostly just to not go broke. What do you guys think about that? 15K starting bankroll for the whole season, not per week. That would be a little crazy.
Pete,
yeah, I don't normally get out of bed for anything less than 15K. So that is, a good starting point. I think so. I mean, those are the kind of stakes that I can have fun with. It won't make my heart race at all. I won't be really invested in the outcomes that much. But I think for you guys, I know who are kind of early in your DFS journeys, I think that's a palatable starting point for you guys. And I don't want you to feel anxious about this. This is supposed to be fun. And so if you guys just want to do only a 15K bankroll, I'm fine with it.
Works for me, Pete.
We got to decide how we're going to chop it up each week. I think the idea here too is we'll have some flexibility in what we want to play each week, depending on contests out there. Hopefully we save some money for later in the season when they do some expensive milli makers, and we'll play it by ear. If we bank something a little bit early, we'll ratchet it up. So it should be flexible. I think that flexibility will make it fun. It'll be a unique challenge each week rather than just saying, oh, we're going to play, the 333 Wildcat each week. So with that said, we do have to figure out what we're going to do week one. And this 1500 game changer looks pretty good. Single entry.
I like that. We got 50K to first, 141, pays 19.15%, and min cash is a 2x. Seems like a pretty good structure there for us, only 5.4% rake. I think that could be a good candidate for us right out of the gate. I mean, you're always supposed to use 10% of your entire bankroll in week one is kind of the rule of thumb, I think.
You got to have something to fire at the overlay too, right? How are we going to handle that? And one thing, I think that it's great that we're keeping it like flexible though, because I can say from experience, I kind of backed myself into this corner by like playing the 1500 every week and doing a video for it. The people, you guys are, I mean, Peter's not new to YouTube, but just in general, the people in the comments, man, like every single time I lose, they will let you know. So now if we lose something, we can just totally pivot. Maybe we MME one week, we can do whatever we want. And I mean, as long as we keep it not consistent, they can't get too mad at us.
Joe, here's what you got to learn, bud. The idea of what you got to do is you build your personal brand around being a bad DFS player. You turn into Teflon. You know, these guys, it's like they say, oh, you sucked this weekend. I go, like, literally, that's the bit, dude. I suck at DFS. So if you just kind of rebrand yourself as a shitty DFS player, it's a lot easier to handle those comments, you know?
Can I be a shitty DFS player or a shitty sports bettor? I could probably do that pretty well, I'd imagine. We can start there.
Yeah, I'm going to try to I'll handle both of those for us. Leone, what are your sports betting aspirations this year?
Oh, man. I'm going to wipe the floor with you guys if we do the super contest. I'll tell you that much. I did the DraftKings one last year, like their version of the super contest, and ended up cashing that. So I've got some Galaxy Brain game theory super contest ideas are we splitting that, or we're doing our own super contest entry, or we're still working that out, right?
Let's do our own super contest entry. Are we going to do a group DFS lineup? Is that the plan still?
Yeah, I think it's three-pronged, right? We get in the super contest. Should we put out feelers if anyone lives in Vegas and wants to help us proxy?
That'd be nice.
We definitely hit us up, because we definitely need that. I'm going to assume we need 3 proxies if we're all individually entering it. And then the second thing, we'll have the collective DFS entries. So we'll be working, say we do that Game Changer 1500. The 3 of us will be collaborating on that lineup. I'm sure there will be no disagreements, and it'll be a super seamless process that happens every Sunday morning around lock. And then the final thing is I think this week we already did hop into the $222 fade single entry contest on FanDuel, because Joe is a fish who didn't get in the bargain bin with guaranteed overlay. So I think that's Fair enough. Rundown for right now. Joe, I mean, how are you not just combing the lobby looking for positive EV contests? I mean, what's going on over there, man?
It's really not a good start for any of us, right? Like, I put us behind the 8 ball before the week even starts because I wasn't registered for contests in time. You guys were like, oh, we should play this contest. You're both already in it for like days at a time, and by the time I see the message, it's definitely full at that point. So yeah, I guess I'll already take the blame for our week 1 performance if it comes down to it. I'm willing to wear that.
Another thing with our flexibility, and I know this is not a great way to start like a bankroll with the kind of things you do to build a mindset, but we got to fire at a live final qualifier at some point too. And then we get to rock, paper, scissors for who has to get the cot at the hotel, because there's generally going to only be 2 queen beds in those hotel rooms. So, I mean, that's a whole other subplot that I think we have to dig into.
I like the optimistic thinking that we're going to be able to attend a live final. So,
I mean, come on. I think we'll be. I think we'll have a vaccine here in probably a couple weeks, and probably be good to go. We'll probably be in Miami together by December.
Like you said, we are playing 10% of our bankroll week 1 in a single entry tournament, so we might have to, temper expectations if we want to play some live qualifiers, if we want to play expensive million makers down the line. We're either going to have to run pure out of the gate, or might have to be eating ramen for a few weeks while we build up the roll.
Yeah. All right, for no free plugs to other sites though, Leone, just going forward, please. Let's see, what were you going to say, Joe?
Yeah, just like more often than not, these like last few years, it's always like I feel like in the beginning of the season, it goes super well usually, just to give you a little bit of a false sense of security. And then the middle of the season, just an absolute bloodbath. So I'm feeling like the first couple of weeks, we might be able to build it up a little bit. It's going to be how quickly can we give it all back? Like, I think my goal for this entire thing is to get get us to the Thunderdome at least 1 week, right? Like that's has to be the goal. I think that's a better goal than even going to a live final. That's probably going to be an online final. So that's my goal. We play 1 week in the Dome.
Yeah, I'm already envisioning, like what I want is like we have one nice cash early out of the gate, and we immediately go heat check mode. Just like, let's go take a huge shot. Like, it's like, oh, you guys are starting to build up your roll. You're like, no, let's hop it. Yeah, I'm looking here at the 100K nosebleed, $10,000 entry. Right now, it's just 2 entrants, Empire Maker, Chipotle Addict, never heard of him. I say we just hop in there, 75,000 to first, just supercharge our bankroll right out of the gate.
That could work.
Leone's getting like hot under the collar about that.
I'm like, listen, we need to keep in play some long-term aspirations here. We have to make it through the end of this season. What would you, if we're doing some sports betting, what would you put the line at as to us having a bankroll by week 17?
Oh my God. It's got to be like plus 200 at least, right? That we actually have anything at that point. 15K is, I mean, we could punt that off pretty quick, I feel like.
I guess it depends.
Well, the question,
like
do we drop down? Like,
our strategy?
Yeah, if we lose like in the 1500, are we dropping down to the 577 double up? It'd be really sad if like it got so dire that we just had to hop in like a high stakes double up just to try to boost our roll with a cash game lineup.
Or we don't cash the 1500. The next week we play the 3K, right? You got to double it down to get back to net zero.
Martingale, let's go.
The tilt space martingale system.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah, we will. I think that's what's going to make it fun, is thinking about it as a dynamic kind of thing where we're resizing our contest selection accordingly. And I think there's also some fun stuff we could do too of, would we want to hop in like a 3 max where we are collectively putting in 3 lineups? Say if we, even like the power sweep's a nice contest, that would be a $450 thing if we needed to drop down, give ourselves a couple more cracks at it than just a single entry lineup. I think that's in play too.
I do like the tension of making one lineup and a pretty high stakes entry, and then whoever's picked derails the lineup is really just gonna hear it all night long.
Well, let's talk about this as far as we haven't really. I mean, we don't have a show. I mean, Joe and I are going to be doing a show on Sundays, but it's not going to be to build this lineup. I mean, we need to figure out our process, because building a DFS lineup like a game of telephone doesn't really work. So who is going to emerge as the alpha that puts their foot down on these decisions? I mean, is it just going to be like, oh, Peter wants to play LaVisca Chenault at 4,400, so we'll toss him a bone? I mean, how is this sausage going to get made?
Should we go back and forth? Like each guy does a pick, like we'll do it through the chat or whatever, and just whoever's left at the end with their like punt tight end that we have left just has to find a guy, or what? I don't know. I don't know the best way to do it.
I think we could start with a draft of a team, serpentine draft, but then we need to talk it out. We're not just going to enter that in. That would be, I'm not comfortable with that.
Could just start with a stack too, and then figure out the rest of it from there.
I was going to say, I think we need, at least with some of the core, like if we are doing just a quarterback to pass catcher with a bring back, I mean, that's going to require us all to be on the same page. And then I'm sure we'll find ourselves in some ranges of like, okay, we have, a range where we could pick a running back here, a range, and then decide from there. So I think we'll be good. I think all of us approach DFS similarly. I would say Leone and I have more of a tendency to Galaxy Brain. Joe, I know from watching your series last year in the 1500, you definitely played it closer to like a cash game lineup, high floor thing. So Leone and I, our goal is to turn you into a Galaxy Brainer, right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like about this contest too is you don't have to go full Galaxy Brain. Like this game changer, 141 entries. One, a lot of the high stakes guys throw in their cash game lineups in here, which I think creates some leverage right away. There might be some heavy overlap and combinations that you can get off of pretty easily without making a full Galaxy Brain lineup. And the late swap too. I mean, that's when we can really Galaxy Brain. It's when we can look at the standings and Galaxy Brain ourselves into some sort of contrarian late swap because we think we're behind, only to have it cost us thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, Joe, give us some of the insights from playing this contest weekly last year, some things that we should be looking out for and how this might play into our strengths or our style of play.
Yeah, so I think that the biggest thing is there's like two ends of the spectrum. There's those people you're talking about earlier, like Empire Maker. They're putting one team in every contest, doesn't matter. So there's those guys. It's most of they're just building their optimal. But then there's also like the Osimo crowd that's just full game stacking a field size of like 60 people, which I don't necessarily think is that great either. I think kind of finding that happy medium of like building what you think is optimal first and doing like a slight type of leverage pivot in there, either at wide receiver or tight end, was kind of the approach that I had. It just depends on field size, I think, for that sort of thing more than anything. Like I'm totally open to going a little bit more on the stacking side, especially if we're in anything bigger than 100 people, which I'm sure we will be in a bunch. So even this week, right? How many people in the 1500 this week? 140. Yeah,
141.
So it's probably too big to build something optimal, I would imagine.
And Mike, how are you thinking about week one? I feel like this year is even a more volatile, chaotic week one than most seasons. Definitely, I think, points you in the direction of fading Mega Chalk. Have you started to build any lineups for week one?
A little bit. And I looked at some Millie Maker results. Granted, this obviously isn't a Millie Maker type contest, but I think some of the concepts still translate. I looked at some of those with Adam Leviton for an established run article, and we found is double stack with a bring back coming back is huge. Running back, you really don't have to go too contrarian. It's kind of like play the running backs that you think are the best values, have the most volume upside. It's hard to match that on a given week. It's sort of the opposite of the season long mindset with RB fragility. When you know what the workload dynamics are going to be going into a week, it's just really tough to match Alvin Kamara getting goal line work and pass catching work in the Saints offense, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, whoever it is. So, but you mentioned the volatility this year. We didn't have preseason. We don't know how many snaps guys are going to play. We don't know, there's some depth chart ordering. We don't know. I think that lends itself towards taking a pretty balanced approach. And then you can get a lot of guys you're comfortable with that have pretty high end upside. There's so many receivers in, between 5,500 and 6,500 who can just go nuclear that's where we're going to go low owned. I'm pretty sure is we're not going to eat any chalk at receiver. I'll fight that pretty heavily week one.
Yeah. I did mention Terry McLaurin earlier. That will be an interesting one. It looks like what I'm seeing for RotoGrinders projections around 15% ownership. I think if he inches up higher than that, I'm probably with you, Mike, of having to get off of him at that ownership. Joe, have you looked at this slate at all? I mean, Christian McCaffrey wasn't popping in the optimals that I was running, but obviously he is always in the mix to be your running back.
Yeah, I think if you've, listened to anything or done any shows, you see the pricing's a little bit different on a week one than we normally see. So I would imagine that most people are just going to come in and start with Christian McCaffrey in a normal week one, but there's just not a lot of great value out there. I'm typically not someone that likes to play these cheaper running backs, but obviously normally we get those cheaper running backs at a little bit more of a discount than a couple of the guys we have this week. So I don't know. I still think that starting with Christian McCaffrey, if it ends up being something that people don't want to do because they feel like they can't get comfortable with that, I'm fine with that. I know a lot of people are trying to get all the way up to Devontae Adams. I very rarely pay up at wide receiver. It's just the roster construction that I end up on is just trying to jam in as much of that volume as I can with some of these elite running backs. I think that if you just got even like a different type of roster construction that I found last year in these contests was if you're willing to play 3 of those guys and punt everywhere else, you're already different. And if you happen to hit on that week where you get Saquon, CMC, and one of these other guys like Dalvin Cook to just go nuclear, and then you have like a cheaper wide receiver that lucks into a touchdown, like there's times where that alone is different. So I think that's an interesting strategy too.
So I think we've gone from me wanting to go pretty balanced and Joe wanting to go studs and duds.
Yeah, there you go.
We're already.
Yeah, already.
I guess I'll have to break the tie and just go all duds is kind of what I want to do.
There's already, Miles Sanders and Gibbs, and that you mentioned McLaurin and Deshaun Jackson. That Philly Washington game is gonna have a lot of chalk. Marquise Brown at 5,100. There's gonna be some pretty big play decisions. Even with there being a lot of volatility week one, the chalk's gonna congregate on some of these guys. Antonio Gibson in particular is going to be a tough one to decide, and he's someone you almost have to play if you're playing Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, the way I've been thinking about Gibson is I think he has a very high floor and a very high likelihood of, kind of 3xing, 4xing that. I just don't know if he actually has the ceiling to win a GPP for you. I think people are being a little optimistic and naive about what McKissick's going to do here, Barber and Bryce Love splitting. I do think this is going to be like a 4-way backfield. And I think Gibson's going to catch, probably a handful of balls and have a chance at a big play. But I think his overall upside is capped.
Yeah, and that's the thing at running back is you just can't match the upside of some of the, not even if you don't go all the way up to McCaffrey, but some of these guys like Mixon 6,700, Jacob 6,800, Kamara's only 7,200. You just can't match the upside of their workload. And I think people fall into the trap of taking some of these cheap running backs where, as you said, you can very easily see where they go 3 to 4x and it feels good at first, but then get trounced on the upside. And then you look at wide receiver, and it's a little bit like Joe's strategy, but there's so much more variance at receiver where 4K receivers can match 7K receivers easily because it only takes 2 big plays to get there. Whereas running back, that, it's not taking 2 big plays to reach their ceiling. It's taking diversified volume over the course of an entire game pretty much.
Yeah.
Those running back slots are just so valuable, right? Because it's like the one position where we can project so much better than all these other ones. I think that's kind of why the strategy of just like trying to be the only one that was trying to play 3 for a while, at least in small field stuff, made sense. Definitely the ceiling overall is probably not something that's going to get you to the top of like a Wildcat or a Millie Maker or anything like that. So I'm going to have to balance it a little bit more than I'm used to if we're playing some of these bigger ones for sure. What are we doing with the single entry stuff though, guys? Well, like we came on this to have a game plan, not talk about the slate. No one wants to hear us talk about the slate.
Sometimes a leopard can't change its stripes. You get 3 DFS guys in a room, you're going to start talking about the slate. We are for this week, we are in the fade on FanDuel. I think, what is it? A 222 buy-in?
Yep.
And I think the reason I like this as opposed to just us being in a 3-man contest where then you're literally just rolling out a cash game lineup is we are trying to see who does the best in this tournament. So that requires us to show some aggression and stuff. It can also burn you if you flop, but if you play this safe, not only are you probably not playing the contest optimal, but you're probably going to get beat by one of us as well. So I think this will be a fun thing. We should definitely, we're going to have lots of spreadsheets going. We need a spreadsheet to keep track of how we are performing in these contests vis-a-vis each other.
This guy uses VLOOKUP still, so.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, buddy. Nothing wrong with a good VLOOKUP.
Get on the index match train.
Did I tell you how I got owned on this? So when I played in the League of Legends DFS final or whatever, it was like a 555, and I posted my lineup, and Tuttle dunked on me saying that, my lineup was dead and was bad. So then I downloaded the CSV from the contest and went to look and found that his lineup was duplicated like 8 times. So I went back to dunk on him on Twitter. The problem is my screenshot was from Numbers, which I have on my Apple computer. And then all I did was dunk on myself because then everyone's making fun of me for not using Excel.
What percentage of the world has Numbers but doesn't have an iPhone? Where's the Venn diagram? Numbers, no iPhone.
I contain multitudes. I use Google Sheets, Numbers, and an Android phone. Okay, so just deal with it.
I thought that Android thing was a bit for the longest time, Pete. I didn't realize until we actually got in this group chat last week that like you actually don't have an iPhone or choose not to use an iPhone essentially, which is insane.
Yeah. So I mean, just to set the record straight, I do have my Patrick Laird burner. It is dead, and I don't even know if I told you guys this. Because I have a Mac, I do have iMessages. So when I talk with Laird and Davis, it's on iMessages. So, if I'm out for the weekend, I'm not going to see anything. But if you guys wanted to talk via iMessages, I would allow it. Just know that you're not going to get me 24/7 like you will with my sweet, sweet Android phone.
We got to go back to the 3 max, or not the 3 max, but the single entry that we're competing against each other. Because I think an element of this that's great is if one of us has a play that we really want to play in our group contest, we're going to get double burned if it goes bad, because we're going to take all the heat from ruining the group contest and then lose to the other two people in the single entry.
Or do you end up using this as your hedge book, where it's like, okay, Leone and Joe wouldn't let me play LaVisca, so I'm putting LaVisca in this contest to prove to them that they should have let me play him. I think that's how it might play out for me.
I still picture like something's going to happen too, where someone's going to have a really strong take about a guy all morning, and then maybe we put him in our team lineup, but then they don't play him in their single entry lineup, and it works out for their single entry team. So we can kind of like, it's weird that we're working together, but also working against each other at the same time. So that's going to be interesting.
And isn't that the whole, it's the same dilemma, you know, we've been drafting all these season-long teams, and, you know, you only have a handful of high-stakes teams, and it's like, do you push the chips in on one of these guys just so if they hit, you're just having this incredible year, but you open yourself up to all that downside risk? I mean, we were thinking about, I've been taking Mark Andrews in like the late second, early third of all of these tight end premium contests because I think he's a good value there. But on the other hand, I'm like, this dude like blows out his femur week 1. I'm just going to be miserable for the whole season. So how to balance versus going all in is definitely a wrinkle.
If things go really bad, we might have to like dive into some like more niche stuff. Maybe we're playing tiers one week. If it gets, you know what I mean? Like we'd have to like mix things up a little bit. If things are going bad, we got to kind of recycle kind of the juices a little bit to something new.
That's the actual
the Galaxy Brain.
It's like
Galaxy Brain we can do in tiers.
Tiers for tiers, TEARS for tiers is that's what we get in once we've cried through our whole bankroll. Yeah. So just to let you guys know, I did pull up. So this 222 single entry, it's 300 people. There's still spots in here if anyone wants to come mix it up with us. $60,000 prize pool, 10,000 to first, 6,000 to second. Looks like a pretty nice payout structure, and 2x min cash. So that one will be fun. I am normally not much of a FanDuel player. I don't play on there a lot. So, you know, just firing a $222 bullet right out of the gate feels reckless, but that's what this show is all about, is being reckless.
Thought you didn't wake up for anything less than 15K. So.
Oh, wait. Can you, producer Joe, can you cut that?
We'll edit that one out after. Not a big deal.
Thank you. Yeah.
We have tens of people watching us, so I'm sure no one heard you.
Sometimes you have so many bits going that you can't keep track of them all, and they start to kind of, the snake eats its own tail a little bit. So yes, here's the thing, Joe, here's the spin zone. I'm a whale on DK, but I'm just a little minnow on FanDuel, so I have my hundreds of thousands on DK, and I really only have, right now my balance is $255.75 on FanDuel. So
you have like the little white badge instead of the blue one still on FanDuel. Is that what you're saying?
I actually do have the blue badge. So
okay, there you go.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. I mean, Mike, on FanDuel, like the team quality you can build as far as just general players is so much better. It's like a different game, basically.
It's you team jam in all the expensive running backs because it's only half PPR too, so that even slants it towards the touchdown equity of the running back. So you see a lot of teams that are Christian McCaffrey and 2-stud running backs and just off receiver. That's where Joe's strategy was talking about.
You guys think that I was late getting into the DraftKings contest. That was actually by design because I really wanted to just play FanDuel the whole year. I might do this every week.
There you go.
What happens when one of us thinks our loan entry as our group bankroll cripples? That'll be a weird
awkward
mood in the room.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just saying we were going to get just absolutely crushed in the Thunderdome, but like one of us is going to win like 10K or something in the single entry. It's not great.
Oh, wow.
It's not great.
That actually would be a funny dynamic of one of us is just like running so nice and the bankroll shooting up. And I'm like, actually, guys, we need to kind of lower down. And Mike's wanting to shot take over here. The old collective bankroll versus the group bankroll. That will be a subplot to monitor here.
We got to put something on the line though, boys. I guess we haven't really put enough thought into what happens for the loser, what happens for the winner at the end of the season. It's a long game, right? So I don't know. We've got to figure something out, even if it's not right now.
And so how are we going to judge it? If we're hopping in these same single entry contests, is it just net profit or is it, just our individual ranks of how we place? Because that obviously changes the calculus.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Larry?
Yeah.
Just net profit. As long as we're hanging around
hanging around. He's just hanging around.
Similar. I mean, it has to be a similar price point. If we're doing a 222 one week and then we do a 500 another week, the net profit's going to get thrown off. So it's got to be the same price point.
I think every time Leone talks, I'm just going to put him in the small box.
Oh, come on, guys.
Until he gets his green screen figured out. I think that's the play.
The penalty box. I like that. As far as punishment, it does feel like punishment enough to publicly just eat shit in a contest week over week. That said, I think we need to come up with some bets to pay off at the end if we are not, or if we are the loser. So I think there's I think we gotta brainstorm a little bit more on that.
I'm with you. Anything else, boys?
I agree. No, I will just reiterate again, we are trying to get into one of these sports betting contests. We've been running into proxy issues because all three of us reside in states where it is not legal to register for these. So if anyone out there wants to help us out or knows proxies or whatever, we are still kind of open to the contest, although it sounds like we're leaning toward the Vegas Super Contest since it's a one and done thing with the proxy, right?
Might be easier, but I'm fine with whatever. It's pretty similar, right? Overall.
Yeah. Do we have a backup plan? Like if we're not able to pull this off, like our sports betting element to this?
I don't know. I guess we would have to find someone in Canada at that point and see if Blitzback can just put us something up just for the three of us. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see.
We need this. I do look forward to the idea of betting some lines and spreads. So we need that element.
We need different outs to be sweating something in the afternoon after our DFS teams are dead. An hour in, we can at least sweat the spreads of the 4:00 games.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. So this show, like we said, we will be going live on Sunday evenings at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to assume that puts us about the start of the fourth quarter for some of those late games. So we'll get to recap how things have been going, sweat/tilt those final minutes, recap our wins and losses as the fourth quarter ends. Should be an excellent time. Joe, this is going to be live on the LineMovement YouTube channel. Anywhere else that they should look for this?
We're going to keep it on YouTube for now. Also, we should have the podcast feed up on Apple Podcasts very soon. I know my feed just went up for the Joe Holka Show, so be sure and check that out. Subscribe, rate, and review, all that good stuff. But yeah, it will be on the LineMovement NFL feed, hopefully in podcast form by week 2, week 3. Apple's just not very fast with that sort of things. But live, live's where you want to come hang out anyway. That's going to be on YouTube. So youtube.com/LineMovement. Pretty simple.
Should we set a baseline minimum of drinks that need to be consumed before this first Thursday kickoff show at 6:30?
We got to start with a bang, I think.
Yeah,
it's been a long week one already.
It has, like, I'm not kidding you guys. I said this on my stream before. I literally have on my calendar scheduled to take a nap here when we're done. Like, I'm so behind on sleep, and things finally slow down for me tomorrow, so that I'm just going to recuperate. And then Sunday, I think 5 drink minimum. It's like a comedy club. 5 drink minimum by 6:30. There's the rule.
You think I will be awake at 6:30 for the show if I have 5 drinks? I have the same sleep problem, but I have a 3-year-old waking me up and jumping on me at 7 a.m. after working on all these spreadsheets we got going for the tilt space at 2 a.m.
Google Sheets. Let's go. Numbers, actually, right? Either one.
All right. That's so you guys needle Mike on Twitter about needing to drink for the kickoff show on Thursday. Joe, any other final words here I'm missing?
That's all I got, man. Bring us out. I know we said this was going to be a short one, but we started rambling about the slate for some reason. So I'll let you take us out here. See you guys on Sunday.
It happens. Yeah, this is the welcome to the Tilt Space, guys. We just want you to know that this is a safe space for you. It's a safe space for us. This is a place where we can get vulnerable, where we can share our truest, realest, rawest feelings every Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you guys on Sunday.